Okay, welcome back. We'll continue with the conference. I hope you had a good lunch, a bit of a break, and stretched your legs. So now feel fully re-energized to do a bit more conference. Until this moment, we talked about technology, the use of technology in specialized areas of knowledge, and for everyday use. And we covered such subjects as cybersecurity, open science, big data, e-health. But what about arts and literature and history and cultural heritage? What is the use of technology there? What kind of benefits technology can bring in these areas of knowledge? And this is what we're going to talk over the next hour. And this session this afternoon on digital humanities will be a hybrid session. So we will have the combination of in-person speakers and people who join us remotely in the virtual environment. So our first speaker will be addressing us virtually. And I would like to introduce Maciej Głowiak. Maciej has a very interesting job. He is the head of the new media department at the Polish Supercomputer and Networking Center. And he's heading the research in the areas of media, streaming, television, digital electronics, as well as building research infrastructure for science and industry at PSNC in Poland. So without further ado, let me hand over to Maciej. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maciej Głowiak. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Maciej, thank you.
Let me share my screen, and I'm gonna talk about the Daria project that we are performing now in Poland. So first, when talking about Daria, we may have a few different things in mind. So just to avoid ambiguity, let me introduce the differences. Daria EaPEC is the European initiative around digital humanities and arts. EaPEC stands for European Research Infrastructure Consortium, and it's a network of people, expertise, knowledge, and contents at the European level. Daria EaPEC is also on ESFRI, European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures. And you can see all the members of the consortium and all the associated countries on the map of Europe. On the Polish side, the Polish partner for Daria EaPEC is Daria PL. PL stands for Poland, and it's a consortium of 18 universities, research institutes, also other entities such as libraries. All of them promote building infrastructure for digital art and humanities. And most of partners, so most of the consortium, got funding for new, well, it's not new, it's already in progress, but new initiative infrastructure project called also Daria PL, but we often call it Daria Lab, so just to avoid this ambiguity. There is a short history of the project. So the consortium started 2014 and soon joined Daria EaPEC. In 2018, there were already 10 working groups and 18 members in Poland. And we knew that the infrastructure that we were planning was expensive. So there was a need to convince the government to allocate specific budget on this project. In order to do so, in 2019, we made an application for Polish roadmap for research infrastructure. And when it was accepted, we made a project proposal for Daria PL. And finally, we got funding. The project consortium consists of 16 partners in Poland. There are 9 universities and 7 institutes of the Polish Academy of Sciences. And some key facts about the project. So now we are just after the middle of the project. It will last until the end of 2023. As mentioned, there are 16 partners, however, only 12 of them are the active partners, actively building infrastructure, and 4 are supporters. There are 7 locations in Poland, and the total budget for building software tools, laboratory equipment, and content resources is 28 million euro, with almost 22 million of European contribution.
Teşekkürler.
The project has also strong economic focus. The idea for maintenance of the infrastructure after the project duration is selling services to commercial sector, not only in Poland but also in Europe or in other continents. The main goal is, of course, that the infrastructure should be accessible and available for research and academic communities. Our project has several impacts in multiple areas. First of all, it increases the research potential of scientific institutions in Poland and in Europe. But also the important goal for the project is to help in preservation of Polish and European cultural heritage by providing infrastructure for digitizing historical documents, for example, paintings, etc. Another stakeholder is tourism, and especially virtual tourism, including promotion of historical places, monuments, churches, castles, archaeological sites. This includes also creating virtual galleries in the network and providing 3D models of objects, for instance. The project will support for broadly understood education, of course, by providing infrastructure and services. And there are more, of course, more areas of impact, important areas, especially to collaborate with the industry or creative sector, gaming, and of course, entertainment. Okay, so now let me tell you about the structure of the project. The project is composed of 5 distributed laboratories, and each of them are dependent on each other. Distribution here means that the infrastructure is widespread between partners in Poland in different locations, and the equipment is intended to be overlapping and complementary in some cases. Some part of the infrastructure is also mobile, so it can be used in various places, also outside the cities of partners. Well, it's obvious that, for instance, an audiovisual transmission from cultural event needs to be sent from the exact location of the event. The composition of laboratories also determines the sequence of data processed by services we are working on. This means that, for instance, digital data digitized in the first laboratory of sources will be input for automatic enrichment, semantic discovery, and further analysis. So the first laboratory, as I mentioned, the laboratory of sources, will digitize data. It's for digitizing data using different technologies. And for instance, 2D documents such as paintings, books, etc., will be scanned using digital scanners or photo cameras. 3D objects will be acquired by LiDAR scanners or drones using photogrammetry. But there is, of course, more areas. Video in ultra-high definition, 8K, VR cameras, stereoscopy, special camera systems such as panoptical systems or infrared cameras, but also audio recording, streaming. The laboratory of sources includes also some additional services, some auxiliary services. Having a lot of digitized data, we will have services for giving persistent identifiers for all the objects, storing data in the repositories, and also the test content will be created, including multimodal corpuses or test objects. The second laboratory, the next laboratory, is for automatic enrichment, and it contains additional services that operate on raw data from the laboratory of sources and adds automatic layer of enrichment. This means that the data will be classified and processed. For instance, optical character recognition is the subject of this laboratory, but also handwritten text recognition, music recognition, transcription, transliteration, translation also will take place here. When having the data automatically enriched, this data can be processed, aggregated, and consolidated in the laboratory of supervised semantic discovery. And this means also using dictionaries, thesauruses, or various data mapping techniques. Fourth laboratory is the laboratory of intelligent analysis and interpretation, and it provides tools for general data analytics and interpretation, as well as specific tools for instance, related to music, speech, gesture, perception. So a lot of interesting topics here also happen. And the last laboratory is the laboratory of advanced visualization, provide tools to visualize data coming from the other laboratories. For example, using large format visualization, 3D visualization, geospatial visualization for maps, for instance. This includes also equipment for visualization in 4K, in 8K, immersive installations, but also already mentioned virtual galleries. We are also thinking about physical visualization of objects, for example, using 3D printing technology. Daria PL or Daria Lab projects works on practical scenarios and is a set of interconnected services. Imagine the situation that you want to make a virtual gallery, for instance, of monuments in your city. First, of course, you need to use laser scanners, acquire the point cloud first, and then prepare 3D models. And this happens in laboratory of sources. Then the data can be annotated or extended with metadata, for instance. The type of resource, the location, the other parameters, and it's done in the laboratory of automatic enrichment. The complete set of data, so the scanned data or 3D models, and the metadata can be aggregated or combined with other data sets, for example, external repositories, documents, description, photos of these objects. And at the last step, we can use virtual gallery, put all these objects with textual information and additional data, and enable people, let people use this system or see these monuments in this case. Of course, we will be trying to make the process as automatic as possible, but of course some parts need to be done manually. Okay, and now let me show you some examples of equipment that we are using or we are planning to use in the project. I think they will tell more about what we are doing than just the slides. So first group of equipment are georadars for geological and archaeological research. Here on the pictures you can see our colleagues from Warsaw University during some practical examination in the city center of Warsaw using georadar from Raptor. Another group of equipment for scanning 2D flat objects are scanners, but also very precise, very high quality digital photo cameras with resolution up to 150 megapixels. In some cases, of course, there are additional devices such as infrared photography, infrared photo cameras, which may be useful, for example, for pigment or blemish analysis. Also, 3D photography is useful here, just to get, for instance, texture of objects. Our intention also here in this area of digital photography is to support or to follow American FAGI standard, which is de facto standard in the world. In order to support artists, photographers, and photography historians, we are also completing the analog photography devices and equip specialized darkroom. This is important for, especially for artists. And we would like to support beside the traditional photography, traditional analog photography, also historical techniques, so-called noble techniques, such as wet collodion or cyanotype. And you can see our colleagues during practical workshop working on wet collodion and the effect on the right. For scanning 3D objects, we will collect also laser and structured light scanners. For aerial scannings and photogrammetry, there will be several drones used, equipped with traditional cameras, well, the digital traditional cameras, but also multispectral cameras, for instance. Here are some examples from the past. We had several interesting projects for scanning cultural heritage. This example here on the left is the Cathedral Church in Poznań, in my city. But we also scanned the schools and remainings of historical dukes of Poland. It's top right side of the slide, and some other buildings. Live events such as spectacles, operas, theaters needs video recording and transmission, usually in very good resolution. So we are going to buy a set of 4K, but especially 8K cameras with live transmission capabilities, as well, of course, the auxiliary equipment such as post-production stations. This equipment is intended to be mobile, of course, in order to provide service of digitizing or recording spectacles at the site of the event. In the past, we did several 8K live transmissions, so we have some experience here for artists, for example. Here on the left, you can see the 8K live transmission from Poznań in Poland to Linz in Austria. This was done with very low latency, so it enabled remote interaction between artists. The sound is also important. We will have equipment for fine quality audio recording and playback, but would like also to support various physical setups of sound, including multi-channel audio, ambisonics. Ambisonic is especially something very interesting for us, but also 3D sound. And important here is also doing the streaming with very low latency that enabled the collaboration between artists. This could be done, for instance, using Lola software. Here is the example of 22 loudspeaker installation that we showed at the Electronica Festival in Austria, in Linz. And this is also the good example of combination spatial sound, ambisonic sound in this case, with VR content produced with laser scanners or 360 cameras. And regarding such cameras and this VR equipment, we would like to provide support for research, including special 360 camera rigs, stereoscopy, planoptics, camera arrays. Here is the example of the rig we already constructed, composed of 8 Blackmagic cameras, and the output resolution is 20K panoramic view. There are, of course, more equipment. Some examples here are capturing human behavior or emotions using the brain sensors or motion capture. The last laboratory is visualization. So here the installation is intended to be in the project is, for example, 8K LED HDR wall. Tile displays, 4K projectors for mapping, for example, buildings or historical sites, but as well virtual galleries and software services. Last but not least is physical visualization of objects, and in many cases there is a need to recreate small historical objects and artifacts just to see them in real scale or in different scale, and we will use a bunch of 3D printers or laser engravers on the left. Okay, that's I think all. So, do you have any questions or would like to ask about some things? There was not so much time, so I tried to.
Thank you so much, Maciej, and really appreciation of the timekeeping as well from us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have the clock on my screen, so it's 21 minutes now. So we are on time.
We still have a couple of minutes, an opportunity for questions to Maciej. If anyone in the audience, please raise your hand. If not, while listening to your talk, Maciej, I can see that this is a project which requires multidisciplinary approach. There are 5 distributed labs, there are 16 partners, so it's quite a complex organization and setup. But the subject, the preservation of cultural heritage, is of interest to many. So if somebody would like to start on that journey, what would be your advice? Would it be, or is it possible to join your project in a capacity to learn things from you? Or what would be your advice for somebody who is just embarking on the journey in this direction?
Okay, so I think there are two levels. Of course, the collaboration is possible. We are open for any collaboration or giving advices to people. But the first level is the collaboration, in fact. So, well, it's obvious when somebody starts activities, for example, to scan the cultural heritage using 2D scanners, 3D scanners. This is even more complicated. They don't have the equipment, but so we did a lot of tests, demonstrations, and tried to involve as many partners as possible before starting the project. So all of the partners in the consortium had different expertise. So yeah, show that you. So the advice is show that you are interested and have good ideas, and try to find partners that could that could have the complementary equipment, for example. And the second level is, of course, it's more complicated. It's organization of such project. and getting funding on this. But having already the experience, you may convince your government, your decision makers that cultural heritage or such equipment to support it is important. And yeah, we both, I mean, PSNC and Daria PL are open for any collaboration. We can, as I said, we can give advices or share our expertise.
Thank you so much, Maciej. It's really, really reassuring to know that it's all possible as long as people have interest, determination, and drive, and opportunities for collaboration. So thank you so much indeed. It was fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Being there, at least remotely.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to hand over to my co-chair, and I would like to introduce my co-chair, Mr. Farhad Yusifov from the Institute of Information Technology of Academy of Science of Azerbaijan.
Dear colleagues, let me introduce the second speaker, Irmak Güneş Yüceli, Minister of Culture of the Republic of Turkey. Presentation title is Turkish National Museum Inventory System. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today. I am Irmak Güneş Yüceli, a conservation and restoration professional and a proud member of Project Muse, the National Museum Inventory System of Turkey. I work for the Directorate General Cultural Assets and Museums under the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. On behalf of the project manager, Mr. Hakan Melih Aygün, I will present the state-of-the-art digital transformation in Turkey, not only of inventorial records, but also cultural heritage management procedures. Project Muse's strong motive is that things exist in this universe are finite, and they destined for extinction, like the fall of great civilizations, the death of living organisms, and the decomposition of artifacts. What remains is the knowledge and experience transferred from generation to generation in the form of legends, written documents, and artistic expressions. We know the responsibility of being the owner of ancient land like Anatolia. As a great leap forward, we aim to take the maximum advantage of information technologies to secure the past knowledge of arts and crafts. Presentation content will focus 4 major topics on Project Muse. To begin with, I will summarize the contribution of Muse to the cultural heritage management. Then I will highlight keynotes on the implementation phase of project. I will also point out multidisciplinary, inclusive, and participative nature at all levels. Finally, I will mention dissemination and monitoring processes to portray the scope of digital transformation progress in Turkey. Muse makes a major contribution to cultural heritage field through improving accessibility, supporting better decision-making, real-time monitoring, and increasing the quality of research. Muse enables cultural heritage institutions and professionals to immediately access to up-to-date information about archaeological sites, museums, collections, and in-depth information on historical artifacts. Muse paves the way of identification and interpretation of historical objects in the light of modern museology. It also supports anti-smuggling actions and prevention of forgery. Cultural heritage institutions will be more productive by using Muse for due diligence and condition surveying. The exhibition process will be more practical in terms of conceptual and spatial planning. The novel research infrastructure provided by Muse offers remedial to the implicit knowledge problem in the field. Users are able to associate museum artifacts with published articles in the literature. What is established within the scope of Muse will form the baseline of a management decision support system in the near future. The target audience, who are both the contributors and the beneficiaries of Muse, can be listed at cultural heritage institutions, museums, restoration and conservation laboratories, archaeological excavations, law enforcement, collectors, researchers, students, visitors, and so on. In addition to its user-friendliness, Muse is accessible through the secure e-government portal, has disaster recovery center units, keeps logs, and is controlled by the firewall of Ministry of Culture and Tourism. It is also capable of being integrated into external applications developed in the fields of education, security, transportation, tourism, and financial resources. Muse includes a vast amount of data consisting of technical, safekeeping, chronological, and production information. Technical information addresses the classification of artifacts. Safekeeping information includes details on custody and care of artifacts, such as the room where the artifact is kept, the location within room, and the placement at the location. In addition to this, characteristics and quality of museum areas, such as their climatic conditions and security infrastructure, are also accessible. This feature enables museum staff to find a specific historical artifact in seconds, even in the largest warehouses. Those are, in some cases, hosting tens of thousands of artifacts. The chronology section presents information regarding the era, period, and dating range when the artifact was in use. The production section provides knowledge of the manufacturing process and the area where the artifact was produced. One of the major innovations that Muse derives is the ability to allow multi-criteria cross-searching in all these areas, including free text lines. Furthermore, this component is equipped with an image search function supported by artificial intelligence. The 7 modular systems of Muse are anti-smuggling, commission and valuation, private museums and collectors, restoration laboratory, excavation, exhibition, museum information desk, and business intelligence decision support system. Integrated systems share information to support multi-purpose institutional processes. This means that once the data is entered into the inventory module, other systems can retrieve the data from common databases. This presentation has a specific focus on the inventory system because it is the core element of Project Muse. Inventory system is functional since 2019, and we have recently released version 3, which allows the participation of researchers in the system. The restoration laboratory has been completed and is planned to be activated in weeks. The museum information desk is also completed and will be put in service anytime very soon. The development of anti-smuggling and commission and valuation systems are about to be completed. The design of private museums and collector system is ongoing. After, we will focus on the development of excavation, exhibition, and decision support systems. Along with the system outcomes, the project itself has made a major contribution to the field. Within the scope of Project Muse, an in-depth feasibility analysis has been done, and flow diagrams illustrating museum procedures are generated. Existing legislations, laws, and regulations have been reconsidered and modified for digital transformation. National standards have been developed on a sectorial basis. Technical and technological infrastructures of public museums have been improved. A versatile and a multi-component data repository has been established. And finally, a universal database has been created. Even though the inventory module is the central component of Muse, it is only the tip of the iceberg. Project Muse has built upon 4 main pillars, which are alignment with the national legislations, effective management of multidisciplinary collaboration, inclusive and participative process management, and standardized museum procedures. Muse is a product of interinstitutional teamwork. The project has been supported by the Ministry of Development since 2011. TÜBİTAK Bilgem involved in the project as the software solution partner. Relevant departments under the Directorate General have taken major roles in managing institutional procedures and standardization processes. Finally, museums have taken up the responsibility of data management. The 8 phases of Project Muse are research and innovation through system analysis, standardization process, software development, hardware and software installation, upskilling museum experts through user training, data entry, and knowledge assessment. Throughout the project, we have paid attention to working in line with CMMI and PMI principles with an incremental development approach in the project lifecycle. The first phase of the project was analysis and synthesis. This phase revealed that different approaches were adopted by museums in inventorial works, photographic documentation, storage and display systems, internal practices and management, and even in definition and dating of artifacts. Therefore, the second phase was dedicated to the second phase was dedicated to terminological and practical unity among museums. Standardization committees consisting of museum experts collaborated to regulate institutional processes, descriptive information, inventorial methodology, and also spatial planning in museums. This participative approach has made museum practitioners the true actors of transformative change. This is an invaluable asset that's securing the sustainability of Muse. In addition, 7,000 lines of data have been standardized by the consensus of committee members. To briefly explain the outcomes of the standardization process, the consensus settled on that Directorate General is responsible for 3 different bodies and 30 subtypes of those bodies. There are 11 types of areas in museums and 9 types of placements exist to keep artifacts safe. Expert committees agreed upon that there are 54 artifact categories, 1,155 artifact classes, 10 territorial chronologies, and 49 eras to classify artifacts in Turkish museums. Expert committees agreed upon that our national inventory is composed of 15 ancient materials groups, 236 materials, 101 ancient production techniques, and 133 decoration techniques being used in ancient times. Within 81 provinces in Turkey, 110 museum directorates, 476 affiliated museums, and 1,025 museum staff have been registered to Muse inventory system. Approximately 60,000 publications have been associated with the digitalized inventory. I would like to remind you that this presentation focuses on the inventory system. Other integrated systems have their own background study, standardization phases, and statistics. That is the reason why the inventory system is just the tip of the iceberg. To be able to start the data entry, training of trainers were delivered in 21 pilot museums, which are located at intersection provinces in Turkey. We have also prepared user handbooks and several guidelines. We continue assisting users through the call center and regular museum visits for supervision. In addition, a book on photographic documentation for museum professionals has been published by the project manager himself, Mr. Hakan Melih Aygün. Supervision and book publication provided an outstanding technical assistance in the implementation of photographic standards in terms of their compositional, visual, digital, and scale features. You can notice the difference in the clarity of photo shooting by comparing the photograph taken before the training on the right side screen and other examples taken after. We implemented participant surveys to measure the success of the project, and they presented remarkable evidences. Survey results show that 92% of training attendees considered that Muse inventory system is highly qualified, and 98% of them were highly satisfied with the training and the performance of trainers. After all, data entry phase was begun. The system is capable of designating very self-authorization for different users with 16 rows in almost 600 authorization fields. The system executes the same procedure with the real-life scenarios. Authorized museum experts enter the data, and museum managers approve the records through the system. Then the system creates standardized inventory forms, as you see the screen below. Museums are free to keep hard copies of these standardized inventory forms. After the completion of data entry, researchers, academicians, students, and enthusiasts will be given access to the system. Muse is also capable of restricting the access of these groups to specific inventorial areas that are containing confidential information. For example, names of caretakers, the location, placement, and defined monetary value of artifacts. A dashboard has been developed to enable executives for checking whether the system functions properly or not, and to monitor the digitalization progress in real time. The dashboard is suitable to rank the museums and individual experts by the number of their approved records, the number of data entries, the rate of data entry, and by the total number of artifacts inventoried in museums. The bar chart generated by the Muse dashboard illustrates real-time data entries in our museums on monthly basis. Turkish museums have currently digitalized 26% of the national inventory. The calculation rate has been based on 2 million artifacts hosted by our operational museums, because several museums are under renovation and thus they are not operational for now. Unfortunately, the impact of COVID-19 outbreak has resulted in accumulated workload in our museums, accordingly retarded the data entry. Based on our latest projections, we foresee that it will take approximately 3 years to input 3.5 million historical objects into the system. Simultaneously, we continue to develop other integrated systems. The completion rate of the project Muse has been reached 75%, and we are planning to make the whole system ready to be activated by the end of the next year. In conclusion, Muse will be a powerful tool for proper safeguarding of common cultural heritage. To take immediate measures, instant information will be obtained about the current and emerging needs of our museums and collections. A national database which keeps detailed information will be provided. A major step will be taken to the anti-smuggling and the prevention of forgery. Contribution to the development of archaeological tourism will be provided. Muse is one of the 146 granted projects by the presidency in line with the 2023 targets of Turkey. The support given by our government clearly proves the precision and resolution of Turkey in bringing Anatolian cultural heritage into the future. I would like to thank all contributors of the Muse once more in front of you today. The Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, Informatics and Information Security Research Center, Ministry of Culture and Tourism, Directorate General Cultural Assets and Museums, and Turkish Museums. We cannot skip thanking the mastermind of Muse, the project manager, and the inspiring leader of our team, Mr. Hakan Melih Aygün. Finally, we call everyone to join Muse for bringing the past into the future in the light of technology. Thank you for your time and interest.
Thank you very much, Irmak. Very good presentation. Any questions?
Well, if I may, Irmak, if if I may ask a question.
Of course, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Fantastic presentation, fantastic project.
Thank you very much.
Very impressive undertaking and spectacular results. Even though you said you're only talking about inventory system, there's more, but still very, very impressive. And as you say, the meaning of the project is to bring cultural heritage into the future, to keep it alive. It requires a multidisciplinary approach, I can say, managing this project, but our focus here is how technology supports the project. So my question is around any other software solutions available out there for managing museums and collections, and if there are, then how the Muse system differs from the other existing software solutions, and if you can answer briefly as possible.
Okay. Well, this is an excellent question. The answer is that there are plenty of software solutions in the market for managing museums and collections. However, Muse differs from them in many aspects. I can mention most important features that make Muse unique within the perspective of cultural heritage professionals. First of all, Muse systems are not softwares. They are web-based platforms that can be accessible anytime from anywhere, including overseas countries. Another distinctive feature is its countrywide scale, application scale. We are able to manage hundreds of museums and archaeological sites through Muse system. In this manner, Muse is actually a digital transformation initiative, a movement, rather than being an asset. I describe Muse as an all-in-one package for recording the whole journey of historical objects, beginning with the very first discovery on excavation site, then transfer to the museum, then planning to its exhibition location or storage unit, then archaeometric analysis, restoration procedures, even any kind of chemicals, restoration chemicals are documented within Muse systems. It also empowers law enforcement in case of involvement of artifacts in any criminal issue. Another feature is museum experts' access to the system through e-government gateway by using their citizenship identification number and passwords, which makes records and approvals legally binding. This also increases the transparency and accountability of organizations. Another feature could be Muse datasets were created by expert groups countrywide. They embrace their effort. Within Muse systems, museum experts use drop-down menus while making their inventorial routine, and this decreases the operator error margin almost zero, because there are very limited areas for free text and typing something. Finally, and more importantly, Muse systems have reached a level that they guide cultural heritage policy in Turkey. Importance and urgency of using Muse has been mentioned in museology regulations and also several audit reports. This guarantees the sustainability of digital transformation in Turkey through Muse systems. Yes, these are basically the very distinctive features distinguishing Muse from already existing software solutions.
Thank you. I understand. So it's not so much about particular software or technical solution. It's more about whatever solutions fit in that approach of being accessible across the border and kind of comprehensive. Thank you. I believe we have one more question from the audience.
Yes, very interesting presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
How can other countries profit from this?
Directorate General Cultural Assets and Museums is a non-profit organization. Therefore, we do not make plans on having profit, but other organizations may can.
No, but I mean, can other countries use the software and run through the same program?
If other countries would like to use Muse, they have to follow our steps by beginning with the standardization of their national inventory, beginning with their institutional processes, dating and identification procedures, because every country has different kinds of artifacts. So they use different identification methods. Even in Turkey, we have dozens of different identification methods. So they have to make a standardization process just before the installation of the system in their country.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Oh, there's one, I can see one more raised hand.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, are you planning to adhere to Europeana, that is this huge project in Europe, where all the cultural heritage institutions are participating and sharing all these, I mean, innovative programs and, of course, the digital collections?
If you invite, we can dive in.
Oh, I think that I'm not anymore in the Europeana, but I think that they would like very much to have this important best practice on board. So it's an open environment, and they really suggest to be there.
Would be an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. It really sort of demonstrates what the conference is about. Yeah, it's connecting people and allowing opportunity for people to see the expertise and knowledge creation in other countries and how it will benefit somebody else. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Time to introduce our next speaker in this session, and it is, I would like to welcome Professor Darius Amelevicius, the professor at the Department of Informatics and Chief Researcher at the Interdisciplinary Digital Resources-Driven Research Institute of Vytautas Magnus University in Lithuania. And Darius, I would like to give you the floor, and apologize for the slight delay in running the session. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to be with you. I will share my screen. Do you see my slides?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do, Darius. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I am working in Vytautas Magnus University. I am chief researcher in Institute of Digital Resources and Interdisciplinary Research, and I try to tell you briefly what we are doing, and most importantly, why we are doing these things. Our approach to digital humanities are from linguistic and language technologies perspective, where I think that we not only are approaching to digital humanities, but we are also bringing digital humanities into other fields like healthcare and legal domain. We are a member of European Clarin ERIC. Clarin stands for Common Language Resources and Technology Infrastructure. So, what is natural language processing? As you know, natural language processing refers to a branch of computer science, and more specifically, it is the branch of artificial intelligence concerning with giving computers the ability to understand text and spoken words in much the same way that a human being can. Natural language processing combines computational linguistics, that is, rule-based modeling of human language, with statistical, machine learning, and deep learning models. Together, these technologies enable computers to process human language in the form of text or voice data and to understand its full meaning, complete with the speaker or writer intent or sentiment. As you see, natural language processing is growing in an exponential way, and we are expecting the compound annual growth rate of 23%. The reason behind this growth is new possibilities to use them in healthcare, in legal domain, rising of chatbots, etc., that is make transfer from manual to automated way in many tasks in which are required to be automated and involve at least use of language, at least at some point. So we are participating and we are facing evolution from human-computer interaction to human-computer conversation, and we are facing the rise of humanoid robotics. Why neural natural language processing? At the beginning, we had corpus-based and computational linguistic-based approaches. That is rule-based modeling of human language. In 1990, the popularity of statistical models for natural language processing rose dramatically. The poor statistics methods have become remarkably valuable in keeping pace with the tremendous flow of online text. We introduced
Do we need a check? No?
Markov models, engram, etc., and they all become very useful recognizing and tracking clones of linguistic data. In late 1990, with the growth of large volumes of machine-readable data and computing resources, contributing to the shift to machine learning era. The whole principle of language processing has changed. Instead of creating rules to tell software how to understand and process text, researchers started use of machine learning algorithms that can learn this by analyzing training data. And at 2013, in this year, is marked the time when neural network models started to get adopted in neural language processing. From this point, we are talking about neural revolution and natural language processing. The transformer technologies
İki prezentasiya mən verim. Alişörünki, bundan sonra. Alişörünki mən verim, mən də Rustamdan mən verim. Yok, burada İngiliz bilmirəm. Birinci alışırınki,
natural language processing
onun mənki.
in healthcare and in legal domain. Why? Because in this way we can simplify and automate a wide range of processes. In our institute, we are doing a lot of projects in various fields, and many of them are related to healthcare and to legal domain needs. So especially one that involves large amount of unstructured text, with NLP it is possible better analyze the data to help make the right decision. In healthcare, as healthcare systems are over the world move to electronic medical records, they are encountering large amount of unstructured data. Natural language processing can be used to analyze and gain new insight into health records. In legal domain, to prepare for case, lawyer must often spend hours examining large collection of documents and searching for material relevant to a specific case. Natural language processing technology can automate the process of legal discovery, cutting down on both time and human error by shifting through large volume of documents. Why it is important? When we are applying artificial intelligence and neural natural language processing technologies in industry, the goal ever is the same. We try to save money. We try to make more effective workforce. We try to save on cost. We try to make bigger profit. But when we are applying artificial intelligence and neural natural language processing technologies in healthcare and legal domains, we are moving into human rights area. Why? Human has rights to healthcare. Human has rights to access to justice. So there also state must ensure the protection of human rights and enable them to be better exercised. And in healthcare domain, we have huge problems. And many problems can be solved with the help of artificial intelligence and neural natural language processing technologies. We see the three research. Total review is made in United Kingdom. At the center is research made in United States of America, and at the right corner we see the research done in European Union, trying to find how neural language processing technologies can help to solve the problems. Because, as you know, about 2030, we will have 10 million of shortage of doctors and nurses. So one of the ways how we can solve these problems is automate at least some of functions that doctors are doing. At the right corner, we see the ground of public expenses into healthcare. The red line shows public expenses in United States of America. Blue lines show how grown public expenses in member states of the European Union. All these three researchers show that in average, about 30 of all working hours can be automated, but not all. As you see, in some cases we can automate about 50% of work hours, but in some cases only 2% of work hours. Access to justice is second domain that need the solutions of artificial intelligence and natural language processing. We are living in a hyper-regulated world, and as we see from global researchers, the access to justice is getting worse every year. We see some examples. Deloitte have found that about 40% of jobs in the legal sector can be automated. McKinsey found that about 22% of lawyer jobs can be automated. So in some way, our technologies can help to make better access to justice, to make them cheaper. Here we see the traditional electronic discovery reference model, and in this model, for example, collection of electronic evidence, the processing, the review, the analysis of huge amount of documents can be done in automatic way, and for Lithuanian language, we have done many tools and many solutions to solve those problems. But of course, these two domains contain also some challenges. The first group of challenges contain only a small amount of technical problems. As we see, we must respond to the five questions. First of all, this is technically possible, but the remaining four of the questions is rooted in culture, rooted in trust, because healthcare system, legal domain, all is based on trust. Whether morally acceptable, commercially viable. Very important question is, would this be culturally sustainable? Could such system be assimilated without rejection? And legal question, it is jurisprudentially coherent. The second group of challenges contain technical challenges. The biggest challenges for natural language processing in healthcare and legal domain are very similar to those for natural language processing and understanding in general. First of all, language differences. Unfortunately, we are facing some language discrimination, technological discrimination on language basis, because most of language resources, the most of algorithms in natural language processing are oriented to English language. Other languages suffer, and unfortunately for now, there are no good solutions to transfer knowledge from one language to other. Other challenge is training data, lack of usable data, and problem for low resource languages, as Lithuanian, for example, is. Innate bias. We are training our models on huge amount of data, but we must take care that the would not be biased contained in the data. And one more big challenge is understanding of clinical and legal language. Clinical and legal languages are very different from common language. In Lithuania, in English, and in other language. But when we're trying to train models for general language, we have a lot of data. When we are talking about clinical and legal applications, the data to train is not a lot. All the data in clinical and legal documents contain person data, other data. So these documents is not very easy accessible. So thank you for your attention. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Professor Malevicius. It's an enormous subject, really, because it really shows the evolution and the use of technology from automating, the task of automating repetitive tasks. And now we're talking about the evolution to human-computer conversation rather than simple computer interaction. Because the subject is so enormous and really shows how technology connects to issues of morality, ethics, professional ethics. It really is a shame that we're just running out of time to delve into the subject. So if I may suggest that if the audience has questions to Professor Malevicius, please pass them on to us and we'll make sure that they're being answered. And so I would like to say once again, big thank you to our speakers and to the audience as well. And would like to prepare the stage for the next section of our program. And I would like to invite, first of all, let me thank my co-chair. Thank you so much, Farhad.